You know, this month we've been talking about thriving in challenging times. Thriving in challenging times. And we're going to continue with that this morning. Except that you're in for a really big treat this morning because we have as our guest speaker a member of our Board of Trustees who's speaking here for the first time today, Roger Webb. So come on up, Roger. His topic today is gratitude for the shadows. And let me tell you a little bit about him. When Andrea was singing, I was thinking about the fact that I sent Roger an email this morning at 2:15. And when he got it, when he saw me this morning, he said, "Do you sleep?" And I wasn't worried. I just wasn't asleep. So I sent him an email. But at any rate, let me tell you a little bit about him. He has been a life wellness coach and sales management trainer for individuals and companies all over the globe for over 20 years. As a master NLP practitioner, Roger has a keen insight to the subconscious mind, which is a little scary, and has a deep commitment to helping others break through their limiting beliefs to achieve amazing success, both personally and professionally. He has raised 5 amazing kids on his own and is deeply committed to empowering others to live lives of passion, authenticity, optimal health, and love. Let's welcome Roger. Let's rub our hands together and just bless him. Take a deep breath, and you just receive it. Roger, we love you. We bless you. We open our hearts and our minds to receive your message today. We thank you for being you. We thank you for saying yes. Yay.
All right, good morning, CLF. I'm going to move here. Sherry, I'm going to put your glasses here so you don't forget them next time. And then I'm going to close this. So I am so grateful for that blessing because, oh my God, I need it. Take a breath. So when Reverend Sherry asked me to speak, my first thought was, I hope it's a topic that I like. And then when she said just working through trials and challenges, like that's who I am. And so I was so happy to hear that. So I hope you'll indulge me today. I'm just going to take you on a journey in my own life through things I've gone through myself. So I want you to think for a minute about a time in your life. Usually it's at night, often it's stormy, or you just have a bad service provider, and all of a sudden the lights go out. Think about that moment. We've all experienced it. You're sitting, you're working, you're watching TV, you're eating dinner, you're cooking, or whatever, and all of a sudden the lights go out and it's pitch black. What's the first thing you want to do? You want to get light, right? Where's the candle? Where's the flashlight? Where's whatever? I have to get light. That's our first instinct automatically we go to. Now I want you to think about the time in your life when you're in spiritual darkness or emotional darkness. When we have challenges and struggles and trials. It might be financial. It might be we lost someone. It might be a heartache of some sort. It might be illness. It might be whatever, but we're in darkness. Why don't we seek the light then? That's not our first instinct usually. Usually our instinct is to make it darker, to wallow in it, to make sure the world knows how dark my life is and my challenges are and my struggles are. And we just hold on to it. We embrace it. We pull it tighter because we're human beings. But why isn't our first instinct to go find the light? But it's not that easy, Roger, they say. And I would say, if you say so. It can be. It really can be. So today I'm going to help you find ways that hopefully you can take into your life through some of my experiences to help you learn how to find the light in those dark times. Because we've all been there. Is there anybody in this room who's never had dark times? Wow, I was surprised. Okay. We've all been there. We've all been there. We all have challenges. We all have struggles. We've all been through it all. And then we say, oh, but you don't understand. My darkness was special. My darkness was darker than your darkness. It's all darkness. It's all the same. So darkness, that place in our life where we find no hope sometimes, where we find despair, where we find struggle, where we find misery. Shadow, that part of ourselves that we want to repress or deny, that's not us. You know, those things we do that we don't like that we do, but that's what we do it. And we do it because we're human beings and we all have one. So how do we find the gold and the God in our shadows, in our darkness, in our trials, in our challenges? I'm going to give you 4 things today that I've learned to help yourself. And I hope that you will go home and do this because what I've found has brought a lot of joy into my life. So the first thing, step number 1, is to seek the light, just like we do when the power goes out. And again, but Roger, it's not that easy. Yeah, it's not that easy. It takes a conscious effort. It has to be something that you're consciously aware of and consciously thinking about all the time to be able to force yourself to do something that doesn't come natural. Because at first, it doesn't come natural. Because we're so used to being miserable when we're miserable, right? It doesn't come natural to want to step out of that. I think about the scene from Peter Pan when he's trying to escape his shadow, right? Does the shadow ever go away? Does he ever get away from it? Wherever he goes, there it is, right? Your shadow is always going to be there. It's what we do with that shadow, how we light it up, how we illuminate it that makes the difference. So about once or twice a year, I turn my family room into a filming studio, and I record training videos and different things that I use for my business. And about the first 2 hours of every time is spent getting the lighting just right. I have lights all over the place. I have lights behind me. I have lights over me. And the challenge and the struggle in that is finding where does the light work that I don't have that big, massive shadow behind me while I'm speaking. Now, can you see how this also applies to our life? We have that shadow there. It's there. That stuff is there, and we hold on to it. But how do we illuminate it? How do we light it up so that it's still there, but maybe it's not so present? Maybe it's not so prevalent. Maybe it's not the first thing you see. Because sometimes I'll put the video on and I'll film a little bit and I go back and I'm like, oh, wow, it's all you see is that shadow. So we have to learn how to adjust the light. We have to learn how to seek the light. So what light am I talking about? It's the light with a capital L, right? It's the light that is here. It's not a light that we have to find out there. And that's where most of us go when we're in that place. I need to go find something to pull me out of this place, right? I need to go find something to illuminate my life. So guess what? You already have it, right? And we all know that. We all nod. We say, yes, of course I know. But when the time comes, we forget it's there. Because remember, we are beings of what? We are beings of light. As soon as our consciousness became in existence, however you believe, whenever that happened, that's when light came into your life. Because you are light. Actually, I should say that's when life came into your light, because you are light. So how do we seek that light? We focus on it. Because what we focus on is what grows, right? We all know that. We teach that. But do we do that? If we focus on the light, the darkness dims. Period. Think about when you're in a dark room, pitch black room, somebody lights a match. What happens to that room? That little teeny tiny match lights up this magnificently dark room because darkness cannot exist where there is light. That's a universal principle that will always be true. So where do we find that light? We have it. We just have to remember to look. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, right? It's always there. We have to seek the light. I'm going to show you some different ways that I can help you to support you to do that. So the second thing we're going to talk about today is acknowledging and recognizing the gifts that are in your darkness. And that's where the challenge comes sometimes. I would challenge you, and I mean this, and I hate to say this, that some of you won't do this because I know human behavior, but I'm going to beg you to go home, or even right now, get out a piece of paper and start making a list of all the things that make you amazing. All of the things that are wonderful about you, your strengths, your beauty, your gifts, your gold, your light. What kind of friend are you? What kind of person are you? Write down all the strengths, the qualities that make you an amazing human being. Because we all have them. Every single person in this room has millions of them. And then I'm going to challenge you, thank you. I'm going to challenge you to take a look at that list and try to figure out where that gift came from. Go through each one of them. And I would be willing to bet that most of the gifts and the gold and the light that you are came from a challenge in your life at some point, right? our challenges teach us amazing things if we're willing to learn them. So when you're able to look at the gifts, this is what was the most life-changing part for me. When I was able to look at the gifts that my shadows brought me, and I saw the gold, and I saw what a wonderfully amazing human being I am today because of that stuff. Not in spite of, because of. I started to see some things differently, and it became a lot easier to start to see the light. And the more light I started to see, the lighter it got, and the less the shadow was there, and the more my darkness faded away. So take a look at the gifts that you got, which then leads me to number 3. And this is the hard one. Showing gratitude for those gifts, which in turn means showing gratitude for the darkness and for the shadows. See, I'm not grateful that I lost a job once and left me unemployed. But I'm really grateful for the path that set me on in looking for a new career and a new job, which I just took. I was a telemarketer in Las Vegas. That's like the bottom of the bucket, right? But I had to have a job, and it was there. So I took it. And guess what? That job, I can now go back and I can lead my entire career path that brought me to who I am today to that decision. So yeah, I'm not grateful that I was unemployed, but I'm grateful for the direction and the desperate place I was in to get a job because it led to something amazing. I'm not grateful that my best friend killed himself. It was a very dark time for me. But because he did, I know empathy and forgiveness in a way that I never knew before. And it helps me immensely. I'm not grateful that I spent almost a year of my life in bed with an immense amount of pain, trying to raise 4 kids at home and 1 in college by myself. I could no longer take care of my clients, so I was now unemployed. I was in a really dark time. I'm not grateful that that happened. But I'm grateful that now I have a new outlook on life of how I can be healthier. Because I had a really good picture for that year that if I don't do something, I'm not going to be around very much longer. And now I'm healthier than I've ever been because of that. So I'm grateful that I got sick because now I'm healthy. So look at the areas of your life where you found your deepest despair, where you were in your deepest darkness, and find the gratitude. And I can promise you that the more gratitude you find, the more light is there behind it. And that conscious effort of, okay, I'm in a dark place, so now I need to go seek the light becomes really, really easy because you're already in a place of gratitude. Gratitude doesn't allow darkness in. It only allows light. So you can take any situation, I can promise you, you can take any situation. Oh, Roger, but you don't understand how dark my darkness is. Trust me, I do. You can take any situation and find the light if you look deep enough. And when you become grateful for it, that little voice, that little power, that little darkness, that little devil that takes us to that dark side tends to lose its power. Because you can look at it and say, oh, thank you for what you're about to bring me. And it says, forget that. Why would you want to do that? It's a really great way to take back your power over your strength. So my number 4, and this was the hardest and the most fun, was to fall in love with yourself. Because when you love yourself, you don't wallow in that darkness anymore because you're too great and you're too wonderful and you're worth too much. So this was a challenge. This was a really unique experience in my life. So 2 years ago, right now, this month, I was finishing my last book, and there's a chapter in that book called Loving Yourself Unconditionally. And while I was writing the chapter, I had this really big epiphany. Holy cow, I really need to learn how to love myself. Here I am writing this book, teaching people how to do it, and wow, I thought I knew how to love myself, but wow, when I look at it, I really don't. Because I had just come out of a really, really dark time in my life. And I realized that I didn't love myself the way that I thought I did. So I set out on I gave myself a challenge, and I'm going to give you the same challenge, and it sounds really crazy and a little silly, and I want you to bear with me. So what I did is I made a list. I like lists if you can't tell. I thought of all of the things in my life, like if I were to meet somebody special, I was single at the time, and thought if I meet somebody special, what are the things that I would want them to do for me to cause me to fall in love with them, right? So even if you're not single, you know what that list is. You know the things that made you fall in love with someone. So I made that list. Things like sending me love notes, sending me messages during the day telling me how amazing I am, taking me on dates, telling me I look great, taking me on vacation, sending me flowers, giving me gifts, all the long list. Make it really long and juicy. That's what matters, okay? Get really long with this list. And then the challenge was, now I decided, I dedicated the entire year of 2017 to this list. And then I decided for 1 year I was going to do all of those things for myself. So this is where it got a little crazy, because I would wake up in the morning and tell my self how wonderful I was. I would look in the mirror and say, damn, you look good. I would set my text messages on my phone to send me a random text message throughout the day to tell me how awesome I am, and what a great person I am, and what a great impact I've had on my life. I took myself on dates once a week. It became fun and silly and crazy. But one of the things on my list was that I wanted to meet someone someday that would be willing to open their soul to me, even the darkness, even the crap, even the stuff that we don't want to see, and love him anyway, or love me anyway. Is that what we all want? So I thought, guess I have to do that one too, huh? So I started having conversations with myself. And I started getting to know myself at a new level. I started, when I was starting to open up my darkness and my pain and my things, I would start to look at that and explore it. And bask in it and love it and learn to love it no matter what, because that's what unconditional means, right? What's the word of unconditional? Think about it. Unconditional means what? Without condition. Think about that for a minute. We always say, oh, I love you unconditionally, but do you really? You know? Do you really? Because if you love someone unconditionally, that means that when they really, really do that thing that you hate, you can love them and say, thank you for doing that, because it gave me an opportunity now to learn and grow. Unconditional means without conditions. So if I'm going to love myself unconditionally, that means even when I mess up, and the tendency that we usually have is when we mess up just to beat the crap out of ourselves, when I mess up, I get to celebrate it and love it and say, wow, let's learn and move on, and I love you anyway. So at the end, excuse me, in the middle of that year, in the summer, I took myself on a road trip. I took myself on a vacation, because I wish somebody would take me on a vacation, right? So I went on a road trip all through Colorado, the Rockies, up to the Pacific Northwest, down the Pacific Coast Highway. It was amazing. 4,000 miles of me in the car with amazing music. And I always say God is my DJ. I just put it on shuffle, and whatever songs I need to hear or what pop up, they always do. And I was coming down the Pacific Coast Highway up in Oregon. If you haven't driven the Oregon coast, it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. And all of a sudden, I heard Gary Lynn Floyd came on, song Love Cover Me. If you don't know it, you need to know it. It's life-changing for me. And the song started, and I started thinking about my life, doing a little bit of an inventory about my life. And all of a sudden, and this really shocked me, because I had spent 20-something years in personal growth and development. Been to every therapist in the world. I've been through programs and groups, and I had healed my stuff, right? I was good. All of a sudden, this list popped into my head again. I was like, dang, where did you come from? And I started reminiscing about my brokenness, because I had spent 40-something years of my life being told that I was broken in one way or the other, through experiences, or some people actually even said it. So I started reminiscing about how broken I was, and I started going down that spiral. And all of a sudden, Spirit reached into my car and reminded me that I'm not. Because every single thing that I listed that made me broken in my mind, Spirit came right behind it and said, oh, but look at what you have because of that. Oh, look what you have because of that. Oh, look what you have because of that. And I had a moment coming down this winding road that I literally had to pull over because I couldn't see anymore. And my car was so filled with light, and I sobbed for about 20 minutes as that song played on loop over and over and over. And I learned that my brokenness gives me my light. And I learned to fall in love with me that day. I learned that day that I really freaking love this guy. And that's when it changed. When you love yourself to that degree, even the mistakes, even the challenges, even the struggles, even the darkness, even the shadow, they can be there, but you can focus on the light, because that's what made me special. I thank God for my darkness now, because it made me who I am today. In every area of my life, I can see that my darkness brought me who I am today. And whether you think so or not, I think I'm a pretty great guy. And that's what made the difference. Is now I felt that and I knew that because Spirit told me, because we are beings of light, because I am a being of light. That's what we teach. So now our job is to take that light and take it out there, because that world really needs it. Really, really, really bad. So I challenge you, if you have darkness in your life, if you're one of those people like myself for so many years that will not let go of it because it's nice, it's comfortable, it's safe, right? I'm going to hold it close because that's my companion. It's been my companion for so many years. But when I can let go of it and embrace this, my light shines for other people. And that's who we are, and that's what we're meant to be. I look out in this congregation right now and I see light. I see beautiful, amazing beings, like every single one of you. I love being here, just seeing your eyes, because you're light. So I'm going to challenge you to take this really seriously, because my life changed when I went through this journey. Seek the light. Find the gifts in the light. Be really grateful for the light, and then use all of that to fall in love with yourself, because that's where magic happens. We were meant to have joy. We were meant to have such amazing joy that the world can't contain it. And it's our job to bring that into ourselves and shine it forth, not somebody else's. So as scary as it might be, I challenge you to let go of that darkness for a minute and give yourself an opportunity to see what an amazing, wonderful being of light you are. I love you guys. I think you're amazing. You're beautiful. You're such a huge part of my heart. That's why I come in this room every single Sunday with my heart open. And I hope you do the same. I love you, and I thank you, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Roger. Let's take a breath and just turn within for prayer now. Just recognizing in this moment that there's but one life, one love, one breath, one activity, one light, God. By any other name, source. That one is my life. That one is the life of each of us here this day. The life that one is shining its radiant light in and through and as each and every one of us, always. No matter what the darkness may appear to be, no matter what name we may give it, in the midst of the darkness is light. In the midst of everything is light. That healing, radiant light that we choose to call God. And so as we open ourselves up this morning, I speak the word from this place of awareness of this onlyness that is God. We open ourselves up to the light, allowing it to heal those places that we thought were broken, to heal those places that appear to be dark, to heal those places that believe in separation from source, to bring us into the oneness of the light, knowing that that light of God is always right where we are. It is always guiding us. It is always directing us. It is always showing us the way. It is always seeking expansion in and through and as each one of us. And so as we release and let go of those things that we have been holding on to, whatever they may be, whatever name we may give them or may have given them, we take a breath and we let it go. Let it just dissolve into the nothingness from whence it came. And as we let go, we create an opening for more and more light, more and more love, more and more peace, more and more joy, more and more harmony, more and more balance, more and more forgiveness and compassion for others and for ourselves. More and more God is what we get to experience. And so as we breathe in this expansiveness in this circle of prayer, I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer this day. You may speak their names silently or aloud, but you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names are spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each of them is, blessing and keeping them, and that all indeed is well. This word goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day, for in the midst of every situation and circumstance, the light that is God is. And that light shines so brightly, healing everything in its path. I give great, great thanks in this moment for our awareness and embracing of this light that is wholeness itself, and knowing that's what we experience and express in our lives, wholeness. For this and so much more, I say thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you for all the blessings. Thank you for all the lessons. Thank you for everything. I just allow it to be now. And so it is.